First off, let's talk Ottoman Empire. They were ruled by a sultan who had absolute power.
Phenomenal cosmic powers!
Whatever the sultan wished, they got. Now, if you lived in this society and you wanted a law to be passed, well, you had to belong to a member of the council, because that was going to be the only way you were going to get it passed. Remember, that council is called the DIVAN, and it was usually made up of the Grand Vizier and other people that were appointed by the sultan. Yeah, not a lot of hope for the little people, or the people that are trapped in UK bottles. Even if my master wishes me out, I'm still not going to get a whole lot. Now, once these new laws were proposed by the Divan, the Sultan would look them over and then approve them. These new laws, called KANUNS, would then be passed out to the empire so that everyone knew what laws were being passed. That a lot of sultans wanted what was best for their people, so a lot of times they would actually try to make sure that the laws that were being passed were helping the people out. One funny way they would know if they were doing a good job was by polling. People would show up for Friday prayers, and if there are a bunch of people showing up for Friday prayers, it usually meant that they were going to be praying for the Sultan. So the more people praying, the better the Sultan must be doing. Now let's talk about England. So England also had a monarchy, just like the Ottoman Empire, only this guy was more of a figurehead. While he was still king, he didn't have a whole lot of power. So if you wanted a law passed in England, you had to first get a bill proposed by a member of government or parliament. This bill would go to the two groups that were part of parliament. That would be the House of Commons and the House of Lords. Now, either one of these groups, when they got the bill, could discuss and change different parts of the bill. But for it to be passed, both groups had to approve the final draft of that bill. Now, if you remember, in terms of the general people, being able to voice or get laws changed was kind of tough in this situation. The House of Commons was again made up of people that were voted, but the other house, the House of Lords, were made up of wealthy individuals that would, of course, try to pass laws that would benefit them. So, to be a member back then of the House of Commons, you had to own land. As we discussed, only 1 out of every 20 people would actually be able to run for the House of Commons and even vote for the House of Commons. So, it was nice that they had elections and could vote people in. It's just really tough to get the person that you want to be in there that's going to work for the average person. Finally, we're at the colonies. Now, the colonies were unique because they had 3 different types of governments that kind of ran in the 13 colonies. You had a provincial, and that specifically was a colony known as a royal colony. So the king would appoint your governor, the governor would be in charge of setting up his council, and then you would have assemblies that were voted upon in those communities. But again, the governor could get rid of the whole assembly if he wanted to, and the governor was really going to enforce everything that England had put over. There were also proprietary colonies. These colonies were just owned by an individual. These individuals were very rich, and they were called Lord Proprietors. These Lord Proprietors were kind of like governors. They would appoint the people that they wanted to be a part of those councils. Now, the Lord Proprietor, in this situation, would be the person that's making the laws, and he would be deciding what you can and cannot do, and also appointing all the officials that would help enforce those laws that he was passing. Finally, you had a charter colony. Now, this would be a specific section of land or part of the colony that was donated by the king to a company that would then run that colony and be able to make profit from it. The king also then allowed the company itself to kind of come up with its own governing rules in that specific location. A lot of times, because the company wanted the colony to do well, you might have some more freedoms or more ability to be heard in this colony because they were wanting that colony to be successful. Now, no matter what colony you were in, they all were still subordinate to the king and to England. So they had final say in everything. Honestly, since we just discussed how business was run in England, you'll see that none of those have any representatives in Parliament. And that's where you're going to learn later on, no taxation without representation. All right, boys and girls, time for wish number 2. If you watch the 3rd video, you're going to see that I'm going to say an exact answer for you that you can use. But you got to watch that 3rd video. That is my wish granted number 2. Let me give you the answer. Head on over to that 3rd video.
Phenomenal